In our last video, we went over the multiplication and, we went over the addition and subtraction of fractions. Now, the key for that problem was the common denominator. Thankfully, multiplication, division is actually a lot easier than finding common denominators. So, for multiplication and division, if we have 2/3 times 5/6, well, multiplication is just straightforward. All that you have to do is simply multiply across. So 5 times 2 will give us 10, divided by 6 times 3, which gives us 18. So all I did was just multiply across. With addition and subtraction of fractions, I actually had to find common denominators. This doesn't exist. That problem doesn't exist in this case. All right. Now let's, because this is just with numbers, let's go into some variable terms. So if we have x squared divided by x plus 1 times 2 divided by x minus 1. Okay, what we can do is simply multiply across. So 2 multiplied with x squared gives us 2x squared. On the bottom we have x plus 1 times x minus 1. Now the thing is, over here we have two factors on the denominator that we can FOIL or distribute. However, leaving them just like this is fine as well. Now I will distribute this just to show the process. This is equal to 2x squared divided by, multiply x with x, giving us x squared. X times negative 1 will give us negative x. X times 1 will give us positive x. 1 times negative 1 will be minus 1. Therefore, we'll end up with 2x squared divided by x squared. X and x cancel out because this is negative, this is positive. And that will be our final answer. Okay. Now, these are two examples for the multiplication of fractions. Let's go into division of fractions, which works very similarly, but there's just one additional step that we have to take. So if we have, for example, 2/3 times, let's say, divided by 5/2, let's say 5 halves. Okay. Now, division actually works like this. The idea is dividing fractions is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, I will write that just over here. So, dividing fractions is same as multiplying by reciprocals. All right. Now, what is a reciprocal? The reciprocal is essentially the second piece flipped over. Well, the reciprocal is any piece just flipped over, but in this case, we want to flip just the second piece. Okay. So what will happen is that we take this first piece, 2/3, change the sign. All right. So change this sign to a multiplication, and then flip the second one, or flip the second term. Okay, now this is now a multiplication problem. This is division, we turned it into multiplication. So therefore we will multiply across, getting 4, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 5 gives us 15. All right, now let's think of this. Let's just memorize this for the process. So first we keep the first term the same, we change the second sign, and then we flip the last fraction. So KCF. If we can remember KCF, we'll remember how to do division of fractions. All right. Now let's just do one more problem where we are dividing fractions, and this one is a little bit more complicated. If we have x squared minus 9 divided by 2x, and all of this, now this is one fraction, all of this is divided by x plus 3 divided by x. All right, that is the problem. So, before we had everything written straight across, but now we have one fraction divided or on top of another. Well, let's rewrite this as what we did before, x squared minus 9 divided by 2x. Now with the division sign, all that we're doing is dividing by x plus 3 divided by x. All right. Now, what we said before, we said KCF. Keep the first term the same. All right, so I'm just going to keep the first term the same and just rewrite it. Flip the sign, or excuse me, change the sign. So from division to multiplication, and then flip the last term. Okay, so in other words, take the reciprocal of it. So x goes on top, x plus 3 comes on the bottom. All right. Now, what I will do is I will multiply straight across, but I'll actually keep it in factored form, and I'll show you why. Okay, so you'll see why. X squared minus 9 times x divided by 2x times x plus 3. All right. Let me try to simplify this now, because this can be simplified. All right. The idea is that we have x times an entire another term. Over here we have 2x times an entire another term. If we have x on the top, you can simply cross it out with the x on the bottom. Okay? Which gives us x squared minus 9 divided by 2 times x plus 3. X squared minus 9 we can factor. Okay, now we can factor this into x minus 3 times x plus 3. Now this is a perfect square. Okay? This is a difference of actually perfect squares. And we have that, we have exactly 100 factors in our video regarding factoring. And so on the top we have that divided by 2 times x plus 3. Now on the top we have these two terms multiplied together. These two terms are multiplied together over here. What we can do is simply cross them out, because what we have on the top, we have exactly one of those on the bottom, which ends up giving us x minus 3 divided by 2 as our final answer. All right. Now this is the multiplication and division of fractions in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please let us know in a message.